Okay, so the first thing that I do is I put my bore guide into the action. I use BoreTech. They make really good stuff. But what I do is I run a dry patch down first just to try to get up any loose residue that might be in the bore that comes out easily. And then I take my jag off the actual guide rod because when I pull it out, I don't want to damage the crown. And then the next thing that I do is I get a chamber mop and I like to soak it down with some CLP. There's a lot of different kinds of cleaning products out there, solvents you can use, like BoreTech makes carbon cleaner, I believe. That works pretty good too. So what I do is I just put it down into just inside the chamber. I like to let it sit there for a good 10-15 minutes while it soaks, and I usually work on the bolt when that chamber mop is doing its work. So here I'm doing a quick wipe down of the bolt. I just like to make sure that there's not an excess amount of oil, and I like to get a brush and wipe down all of the areas that carbon builds up inside of. It's pretty easy to clean these. You really don't need to put too much work into them. And then after a few minutes, probably 10 to 15 minutes, I get that chamber mop out and I put on a nylon brush and I put it just inside of the chamber. And just inside the chamber, there's a carbon ring that likes to build up. So what I'm doing here is I'm scraping that carbon ring off the inside of the chamber. They make a fixed one that doesn't have a rotating handle, and it's a lot easier to do that, but I haven't got around to doing that yet. And after I do that, I run one more dry patch down just to get the lube that was built up. You can see how dirty it was, pretty bad. And then again, I always take off that jag to make sure I don't damage the crown. And I repeat the process. I run 2 or 3 dry patches down the bore. It's just the way I do it. Everybody's a little bit different, but I just like doing it that way. And on this pass through, I use CLP and I run a wet patch down the bore. And then I go back to running dry patches again. And I send probably 4 to 6 dry patches down the bore again just to get all that extra oil that's built up inside the bore, because I really don't think that it's, necessary to have your bore be soaked in oil. And right here, what I'm doing is I'm getting a shop rag and just putting it down the inside of the action, because there's a lot of oil that spills out when you're using the chamber mop and also the wet patch. So I like to clean that out as good as I can. It's kind of hard to do, but and then right here what I do is I put a little bit of oil on my fingertips and just do a quick once over on the bolt just to make sure that it's well lubricated. I don't want to get it drenched, but I also don't want it to be dry. And then after I get the bolt back in, it's pretty smooth.